We must indeed all hang together, or most assuredly, we shall all hang separately.
Okay, guys. I just got done doing some work at the community, so I'm kind of a sweaty mess. I don't really make myself look nice before I do most of my videos. So, as a nurse in your hospital, should you unionize? Should you vote for the union? Well, I have a little bit of experience in this, so let me tell you what happened. Some years ago, a nurses union came to our hospital. I forget the name. Nurses United, something like that. So they came to our hospital and we had a vote, and the union got voted in. The nurses voted for the union. I actually voted no at that time. I was satisfied with the work environment. I really didn't know much about unions. I didn't see the need for a union. So I voted no. But the union won. So, I didn't oppose it. I'll say, hey, if the majority vote for it, all right. I'll support it, and we're going to have a union now. Right? I can comply with the majority rule, majority vote. I'm okay with that. We'll make the best out of it. So in the ICU where I work, the other nurses selected me as the ICU representative. I'm like, why me? Why me? I voted no. Why me? I'll tell you why. Because they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to be every unit had a representative. Nobody in the ICU wanted to be the representative. So, okay, fine. I'll be the representative. I'll support the union. This is what you guys want. Fine, I'll do it. So look, when you vote for a union, you then negotiate with the company, with administration, for your benefits. You negotiate what you can do for them, what they can do for you. The key is you must stick together. You absolutely must stick together. Why? Why should we stick together? Well, that's what union means, right? Union means what? Being together, right? Is administration dumb? Are they stupid? Is your hospital administration dumb? Now, you may have certain opinions on that, and they probably see things differently than you do, and they have different priorities, but I will guarantee you they are not dumb. They didn't get into those positions because they're just dumb. All right? So, if you nurses don't stick together, they see that. They see that. If you're not working together for a common goal, and they don't think that there are any consequences, they see that. You don't think that they have their meetings together and talk about that? Of course they do. Now, out in public, out where everyone can see, they're very tight-lipped about unions. They'll say, oh, we just feel that we don't need a union here. That's all they'll say, right? But they have their meetings behind closed doors. They talk amongst themselves. They know if you are united or not. They know it. As nurses, any business that has a union, what is your main power? What is a union's main power? You have to be willing to strike. You have to be willing to do that and to take the consequences. If you are not willing to do that, if you're not willing to protest and to strike, then your main power is gone. If they know you're not going to do that because you have bills to pay, because you're not united, because your soul isn't into this, why should they give you anything? Why should they give you anything? Now they'll negotiate, right? But they won't negotiate in good faith. I mean, they have to go through the motions of negotiating. But, these negotiations can drag on forever. With you nurses getting basically nothing. And that's what happened at the hospital that I still work at. That's what happened. The nurses voted for it. And then everyone wanted to be anonymous. No one wanted to step up and say, I support the union. No one wanted to come to the meetings. No one wanted to do anything. Right? So we got nothing. If you do nothing, you get nothing, right? And that's not a hard concept, right? But what is hard is for people to stick together. A lot of people just won't do it. And this is Texas. They don't know much about unions around here. They have no idea. They don't know about sticking together in a union. They never heard of that. Of course it didn't work. This union didn't work, and the nurses got nothing. Very, very few nurses actively participated in the union. I participated at an intermediate level, I guess. Was my heart wholly into this? No. One, because I didn't vote for it. Another thing is I could see that no one wanted to really support it. No, they wanted to vote for it in secret and just wait for some benefits. That doesn't work, guys. That doesn't work. And this hospital is pretty deficient in benefits where I work. I work there for other reasons, and we can talk about that in another video. But this hospital could very well increase their benefits. Okay, they very well could. But the nurses didn't get that because they didn't stick together. Everyone's afraid of losing their job. Everyone's afraid of retaliation. And to be fair, I didn't see any retaliation at all at that hospital. I didn't see any retaliation from administration. I didn't. But these administrators want to break a union. They want that. It's good for their career. These administrators, they get their job and then they move up in the company. They do a good job at one place. They're the COO at one hospital. They do a good job. They move up to CEO of a different hospital. They move up the ladder. And you don't think that's a good thing to put on their resume? Hey, I helped to break a union. At the hospital where I worked, the union was not successful. I helped to break it. So I saved money for the company. That's a great thing for their resume. You know it. They don't want unions. Why should any company, why should any owners, why should any administrators want a union? That they have to negotiate, that they have to pay more now. They have to take a lot of things into consideration for the nurses. They don't want that. And if you guys don't stick together, you won't get that. Just like at my hospital. You wouldn't stick together. So the nurses voted for it. And then they didn't get anything because they didn't participate. Then a couple years later, they were all saying, well, where's my benefits? I didn't get any. I voted for it, but I didn't get any benefits. So there was a movement among the nurses to decertify the union a couple years later. A couple years after they voted for it, they changed their mind. Oh, we didn't mean it. We want to decertify it now. right? And sure enough, the nurses voted it out. They voted it out. That's exactly what happened. They voted it out. They voted it in. They didn't get any benefits because they didn't participate. And then 2 years later, they voted it out. Why put us through that? And I tell you what, 2 of the leaders of the decertification, 2 nurses that I know personally, after the union got decertified, one moved to California, worked at a hospital, and got union benefits. And another one moved to Nevada and worked at a hospital and got union benefits. So they helped to decertify us, and then they quit and moved away and got union benefits at some other hospital. Well, good for them. Thanks a lot, ladies. Thanks a lot, ladies. I can't believe you, man. If you're going to move away, then just stay silent. You know, why? But, you know, I mean, if people don't stick together, you get what you get what you deserve, right? You get what you deserve. Now, in a union, you're going to have to pay dues. All right? Things don't function for free. The dues would have been about 1 hour of your pay every 2 weeks. That would be the union dues. But considering the benefits that you would have gotten if you had stuck together, it's well worth the price. It's not free. A union isn't free. There's nothing free in this world, right? You're going to have to pay something. A lot of the nurses were complaining about that. You know, 1 hour of your work every 2 weeks. You spend more than that going to the bar. Come on, you spend more than that going to the restaurant. I don't get it. That's my point. That is my point. If you vote for look, if you don't want to stick together, you want to be anonymous, you don't want to risk any retaliation from the administration, you are not willing to strike, you're not willing to support the union, then don't vote for it. Don't vote for it. Don't put your co-workers in that situation, because several nurses worked very hard on this union after it got voted in. They worked very hard. All for naught. Because their co-workers, their friends wouldn't support it. So if you don't feel that you can support a union, don't vote for it. If they ever come back to my hospital, which they shouldn't, because we don't deserve it, I'm going to go around. I'm going to tell all the nurses, sure, vote for it if you want. But if you vote for it, you stand up for it. You stick together. Don't you dare vote for it and then just, I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to hide. I'm just going to wait for some benefits and that's it. It doesn't work that way, guys. I don't know why people don't understand that. And at my hospital, the nurses didn't understand that. All right, so you tell me. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I out of my mind? Am I wrong? Am I seeing this in the wrong way? Should the nurses just vote for it and just hope that some benefits just fall out of the sky? They don't have to pay dues. They don't have to stick together. They don't have to be willing to strike. They don't have to be willing to protest. They don't have to be willing to do anything. Just vote for union and wait for some benefits. Is that how it works? I don't think so, guys. I don't think so. And that's my experience. All right, take care. Let's say one more thing about this. Sometimes I'll be at work and, we're chatting. The nurses are chatting. Some of us are complaining about, what benefits we don't have, what situations administration puts us through. All the bad things that we don't like. I tell them, look, guys, we're getting what we deserve. Okay? We deserve this. We wanted this. There was a union a long time ago, some years ago, that came to the hospital. The nurses voted it in. They didn't get any benefits because they didn't participate. And then they voted it out. So we had our chance. We had our chance, and we decided that we didn't want any union. That we're better off just on our own. So we deserve this. And then the answer I get from these nurses will be, well, you know, if the union would come now, I would vote for it and I would participate. I wasn't there back then, right? If I was there back then, I would have supported it. And then I tell them, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. So you think you would have supported it, or that you'll support it now, but so many nurses back then didn't. You think you're more special than them. People don't stick together. Generally, people don't stick together. If the union came back, and if they won again in the hospital, I guarantee you, most people would not stick together. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. I'm sorry. Maybe in California they do, because they're used to unions. But around here, they're just not going to. You know, and talk is cheap. Oh, I would have done this, I would have done that. Or if they come now, I will do this, I will do that. No, I don't believe people. I don't believe them. I don't believe them. Most people are all talk. And we all know it. We all know it.